So welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at one of the latest reprintings. This is the second edition of Fields of Fire from GMT Games. Now, I didn't play the original version, I guess the first printing, so I'm not exactly sure about what's different about this. Probably just revamped everything, but this is a solitaire-only game. And it's you play as a company commander commanding infantry units in a various different scenarios. So you've got World War II, there's 2 Korea campaigns and a Vietnam campaign. So you're going to get a lot of different feeling and different different situations from all of these. So let's take a look. This is a 2-inch box, and it is heavy. It's chock full. So you can immediately see there's 4 big decks of cards here. So you've got, these are terrain decks, and you'll change which terrain deck you're playing with based on which campaign you're playing. So you've got this is Normandy 44, then you've got Korea, which is 1950, and then you've got Vietnam 66 through 70 as well. And so each of these you're going to use those decks with each of the various campaigns, and those are going to dictate kind of what you come up against, the conditions under which you're fighting and things like that. And then we've got another deck of cards here, which we'll go through these in just a second, because those are extremely important. So, rulebook. This is a fairly hefty rulebook. This is there's 64 pages in it. Got a nice turn sequence on the back. But there's a lot in here, and there's a lot in here because it covers so much. So things that you'll come across in the World War II campaign will be very different from some of the things you come across in the Vietnam campaign. There is a ton. This is very standard GMT, very dense rules. Look to be very well organized. We got some nice diagrams, which are full colors. It's going to help you out with a lot of things. You got these nice charts here where it gives you the costs of various actions and the specifics of what they do. So there's a lot in here. Got, again, some good diagrams. And this game plays in a very unique network. Again, we'll get through that as to how the actual game functions. But this rulebook is huge. You play it in like almost a grid type system, so there's just so much in here. Big old rule book. So we have these briefing booklets. This is briefing booklet 1. Okay, so this is the Normandy campaign. This has Vietnam campaign. And let's just take a look at this one. This is a briefing booklet 2. This has the 2 Korean campaigns in it. So, in here we have campaign-specific rules. So you've got order of battle for the companies and the enemies that you fight, and these are the missions. So this, let's see, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 missions in the Normandy campaign, 7 in the Vietnam campaign. So this is the mission booklet, so it gives you a big. So let's just pull out this one for example. You got a long list of your order of battle, fire support available, experience points, friendly HQs, things like that. All the different charts and things to determine aspects of the game. And on the back of here, let's see. So you have anti-tank chart for World War II. Vietnam there. So that's that, and then this is going to be much of the same. So each of these campaigns, you see down here, so 7 missions in each of these campaigns. So the last mission has this Heartbreak Ridge campaign has 8 missions in it. So again, very similar. A lot of these missions like we just read through. It looks like at the back here we've got some really nice historical notes, which I'm always a big fan of. There's some good diagrams. So this will be some interesting stuff to learn. Specifics about how all of those missions stitch together through the campaign. So that's going to be really cool. I'm excited about that. And some actual details about what went on. So some designer notes here. Got an extended example of play. So that's going to be nice to work through. because this game is quite unique again in how it's. This is kind of a board setup where you put out the terrain cards and you're moving your chits on the cards and moving around doing things. So it's a little bit different from having like a traditional board. So this game has an incredible amount of cardboard in it. So we're going to take a little look here. So these look to be what you'd expect from GMT counters. So there's a lot of micromanaging, so to speak. So you've got like single grenades which you'll load up with people, phone lines for creating communication lines, smoke grenades, a lot of different bits and pieces, and these are so double-sided with, you know, your grenades explode, things like that, or they miss. So there's a lot of counters in this game. A lot of different things going on. But your counters are exactly what you've come to expect from GMT. They punch well, they'll clip well, they're that, you know, same thickness that you get in a game like Empire of the Sun. And there's just, I mean, there's so much of this. I think there's 5 sheets of these. So here's all the different weapons you'll be equipping your different units with. I mean, there's just so many of these. Again, a ton more. And these are kind of the little sections that you've got. So you know this, you've got a sniper section, you've got little mortars sections, and you've got, you know, different infantry based units in it. Do they have automatic weapons, semi-auto weapons, range stuff on there? So there's a lot of just. I'm gonna need a billion trays to store all this, and we'll see if the box is big enough to keep everything in that kind of a situation. So you got a helicopter control pad. And this is obviously probably going to be used in the later campaigns, places like Vietnam. So you've got US Army side, and then you've got a US Marine Corps side. So you've been moving your helicopter counters around to drop guys in and out of combat situations. Action attempt symbol. So this is play chart, gives you details on each of the symbols that show up on the action attempt section of the action cards. So this is just details. You can have this out as a quick reference, so you have to keep going back and forth between the rules. And then you got another anti-tank chart here. So here's you have NVA force packages, VC force packages, and then you've got German forces, and then North Korean forces here as well. So you got all these different force compositions and bits and pieces. So you have enemy defensive activity hierarchy. So this is going to decide a lot of what happens. And so if they're, for example, we have enemy units on the same card as a US unit and it's undercover, it'll, you know, give a priority of things that it's going to try to do. It'll either take no action, or it'll fall back, or it'll attempt to make a grenade attack, and that's all based on various different things. Then there's a ton more on the back. So you've got offensive actions, and there's just so much here. This is the AI that's going to control what happens to you. So this is your command display. As you can see, you've got your CO assets, your XO assets, and this is just going to be some bookkeeping. Looks like you've got a general bookkeeping track here, which will probably have turns on there, and as well as some other markers, who knows. But this is going to be bookkeeping. We'll keep this off to the side and have tons of different counters on there, I imagine. So you got units eliminated, and casualties evacuated, and things like that, which will probably all go into VP determination near the end as well. So this is the big play chart. So this is double-sided huge. So this is all the charts you're going to be rolling on. So you've got weapon capabilities, and then you have just a ton of different attack, move, rally, combat actions that you can take over here. And there's so much stuff. Urban cover probability table. I mean, there's a level of detail in this game which might not be modeled on something like a hex map where you have all the terrain kind of in a geographical sense, but there's models in these charts to kind of simulate that. So you get a lot in there without having to have, a very fiddly geomorphic hex system, for example. So it's just a very different style of game from a movement standpoint and keeping things, how it's presented on the table. So I'm excited to play this and see what that's like. And then obviously, what you'd expect here, we have a full pad. I mean, that's a lot of guys in here. And this is your company roster. So you'll have your different units, you'll have the various attachments that they have, they'll gain experience, you track casualties and how much ammo they have through their missions, and you'll note enemy forces here as well. And then on the back, so this, you've got a mission log here, and you're going to note down your different platoons and what weapons they have and how that's all going to work out. So that's, I say that lightly, that's everything that's in the box. This has so much stuff in it, and I'm excited to play this. And I know that this game isn't necessarily the simplest game to learn, but it looks extremely fun. So let's take a look here at the cards real quick. I'll just crack some of these open and we'll see what they're like. So here we have, this is the Vietnam Lowlands terrain cards, and so you'll be shuffling these up, and based on which mission you do, you might take some of these out, but you just have so this is a hill, you've got jungle down here, and these have various modifiers on them as well. You have bamboo shoots, you have just plain open terrain. You can see this is easily accessible by helicopter, whereas the hills not so much. Elephant grass. So there's a ton of these, and like we saw in that picture, you'll be putting a bunch of these out in a grid, and that's kind of what you're going to be going up against. And this is going to dictate how fast or slow tanks and armor can move through them, defensive bonuses, and a lot of different stuff. So these are really cool cards. These are proper photos on here. Just a neat looking game. Having a bunch of these out is going to be cool on the table. And I think the photos on here are going to make it quite realistic, I feel, just in an immersive sense. So that's really neat. Well, let's crack open the Normandy 44 one here real quick, just to compare, the terrain types. So that Vietnam was kind of what you'd expect, all the bamboo shoots and the jungle and the hills. So Normandy, you've got these very different looking plain hills. And we have marshland, orchard grove, woods, some bocage as you'd expect, and there's a lot of that, wow. Got standard villages, open fields, got gullies, and then farmhouses, got a big church, that's where the sniper's going to be, I promise you that, and the cemetery. So again, just very different flavor. They act very different. I'm looking at these and they're just very different styles of modifiers on them that are going to reflect the different terrains that you're in and what that would feel like in a combat situation. So then we have here the action deck. And so this is a diceless system, and the cards are going to be what drives a lot of the game. As you can see, there's a ton of different hit modifiers and bits and pieces. And you've got all these symbols. So I'm not entirely sure how all of this stuff works, but you'll be drawing cards and then resolving them. That was that chart. Let's see, where was it? This chart here is going to tell you what all of these symbols mean. So you're going to pull this out, and the crosshairs, this action is used for both spotting attempts and attempt to concentrate fire action. So that's what that card does. Well, this one's got this explosion here, refer to the chart. It's a burst. When you perform a call for fire action, you draw the number of cards specified in the mission instructions. And if any of them contains a burst icon, the call for fire is successful. So you call some artillery, the artillery says, draw 3 cards. You pull 3 cards, boom, we got a hit, you know. So there's a lot of that kind of thing with these cards, which is nice. Seems like a simple kind of AI system and control system, which is what I want from a game like this. So there's just a ton here to explore. That rulebook is huge, so I'm going to sit through and try and read that and get this played, because I'm very excited to have a very different style of company command in a different, just a different type of war game. So thanks for watching. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com, and this has been Fields of Fire, and this is the 9th Infantry, specifically in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Thank you.